Alright, so I've been promising to do this video for a long time and I've been really dreading it because it's gonna be a pretty long video, I think. And if you guys know me or know my other work or you know me personally, because part of this is going out to my family, not just my viewers on YouTube, and my friends too who know me in real life. Yeah, I have friends. Are you shocked? I am too. So, I don't like it when YouTubers do the whole like cut thing and their audio like matches up. So like the audio sounds like nice and lovely and all in one take, but they're like over here and then over here and like over here and over here, because I think that part of being like a YouTuber or a filmmaker or doing anything with film, you have to concentrate on what goes on visually, and also work on things that go on with the audio. And I think that it's kind of lazy that they just work on making the audio sound nice, but they don't work on making the video sound nice. But because this story is so long, I'll probably have some cuts. Maybe I'll put some transitions in there if I feel like being fancy, but there might just be like some really weird jump cuts, and I apologize for that, but honestly, if I didn't put them in there, this story would be like uber super duper long. Here we go. You ready? Get your popcorn and like sit down, because this is gonna be a bumpy ride. So I have had some medical leave from doing videos for a while because I was diagnosed with a vascular autoimmune disease called Wagner's. It's actually called like Wagner's granulomatous or something, and I can't pronounce the other one. So it's normally just commonly known as Wagner's, or by people who have it as like Waggies, because for some reason we don't like the word Wagner's. I don't know. So I guess I should start by like my journey of telling you like how I got to this diagnosis. In January, like towards the end of my break before I had to go back to college, I noticed that whenever I like try to go to sleep, my nose kind of like tingled, you know, like got that sort of feeling in it, and I was like, oh, I must be like getting a cold or like allergies or something. But then it started to be like more painful, and it kept like, you know, kept continuing, and I mentioned it to my mom, and my mom was like, well, you could have a sinus infection, you should go to the doctor. So she made me go to the doctor because I'm one of those really stubborn people who won't go to the doctor unless I absolutely have to. And I think that's because for the longest time in my life, I grew up without having any health care. So I grew up basically with the mindset of, if you're not dying, you don't need to go to the doctor, because all they're gonna do is take your temperature, look inside your ears and your nose and like down your throat and be like, oh yeah, you have a cold, here's some antibiotics, you know. And so I just normally don't go to the doctor unless I absolutely have to. And actually, when I was a little kid, I ended up making my eardrum rupture because I'm so stubborn and I don't go to the doctor, because I think it's way overpriced here in the United States. So I went because I have health insurance now, and because my mom is, well, if you guys know my mom, which some of you don't, she's very stubborn and persuasive. So I went. And the doctor was like, oh, you probably just have like a little sinus infection. So it hasn't been 2 weeks yet, so just take these decongestives, and then if your symptoms don't go away, take this antibiotic. And she gave me 2 prescriptions. So I filled the decongestant and I took those, and then I went to school the next day. So it was the day before my winter term started. And my nose hurt so bad that my eyes watered, and I'm sure that my teachers were like, why is she crying? It's only the first day of the term, because I always sit in the front row because I'm a goody two-shoes. But it hurt so bad, and I was at school from 8 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night. So I was there for a long time, and I couldn't go home because if you miss the first day, then they kind of assume that you don't want to take the class, and then you can get dropped from classes, so you don't want to miss the first day, period. So I suffered through it without like any Tylenol or anything, and just like some Kleenexes, and like my eye would water, and I was like sitting in the front row. It was really bad. And then when I came home at like 10, I got home around like 10:30, I was like, Mom, we need to go to Walgreens right now because I'm gonna die. I need these antibiotics now. I even went to Walgreens in my pajamas, which is something I don't do ever. Like, that's how much pain I was in. So we went and got the antibiotics, and they were like this big, they were huge, and before this whole medical adventure started, I didn't know how to take pills because I never needed them. if I had like a headache, I would just like suffer with it because I'm really weird and stubborn, and the thought of swallowing something is just weird because you grow up with like the whole mindset of I shouldn't put things in my nose and I shouldn't swallow things that are not food. So I never really got into swallowing pills, so they gave me like these horse pills and I had to learn how to swallow those, and I had to take them twice a day, and that was for a week and nothing happened. My symptoms didn't go away, and she also told me to use the neti pot, which just made my nose swell up on this side. So it was this side of my nose and it swelled up, and I couldn't breathe out of this side of my nose for like 4 months during this whole ordeal of trying to figure out what I had. And I went back to her and she was like, oh, that's weird. So she ended up giving me the same pills that she gave me before because, you know, because they didn't work the first time, they must work the second time, and those didn't work. So I went back to another doctor who actually looked like Vic Van Dyke from Diagnosis Murder. So I thought because he's old, he's gonna know, right? Because he's like been a doctor way longer than this other doctor that I saw before. So I was like, oh, this old guy is gonna know. He's gonna know because he's like old and experienced, and I don't know, I was being stupid. So he gave me different pills and I took those and those didn't work, and then he told me to go to an ENT. So I went to an ENT and she, oh my god, that was the single most horrifying experience of my life. Like the most painful thing ever. She looked in my nose and she was like, huh, that's weird, your nose is really swollen and inflamed, so let me stick this thing up your nose and spray like lidocaine spray, which burns really bad, and then take this little vacuum thing and try and like vacuum it out, because she thought I basically just had like a stuffy nose, which is not what it had. I had the entire whole like inside of my nose swollen shut. So when she put the vacuum in there, it's like, you know when you're a little kid you like suction cup a cup to your face and it like suctions to your face? She was basically doing that to the inside of my nose. So it was really, really painful and really, really bad, and my nose bled for like a week after. It was really terrible. Like when I got in the car I was like shaking and my mom was afraid I was gonna go into shock. It was like a whole ordeal. And we went back to this doctor like twice, and she did like cultures on my nose and she gave me all sorts of different antibiotics, and she didn't know what was going on. And she was like, well, we can do a biopsy in the office. And I was like, no, 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 no. You are not doing a biopsy on me after what you did to me with the vacuum cleaner and the lidocaine spray. You're not allowed to do that. I'm not gonna let you touch me because you're not the most gentle person in the world. So before my mother made the decision that I should go in for surgery, because the doctor said, well, if you're too much of a chicken to do it in the office, then we can put you under. And like going under is like a serious thing, so you gotta be under anesthesia and all that stuff. So my mom made me go to another ENT, and he looked in my nose with a scope, like a little camera, which I kind of hate but kind of enjoy when they do it at the same time, because like you can see inside your nose, which is kind of cool, which is gross but cool. But it's also kind of weird because you have like this thing up inside your nose and you feel kind of like you're in another version of Saw or something really terrible. So he's like, yep, we're definitely gonna have to go in for surgery. And so I went in for surgery I think the 1 month mark after my 20th birthday, so March 26th, I went in for a biopsy. So I got like my first IV ever, and like my first time ever going in for surgery and stuff like that. And before that he'd basically said it could be like one of two things. It could be a polyp or it could be cancer. And I have really, really bad luck. So I was kind of like, okay, I probably have cancer, because they didn't get a polyp on like the x-rays that they did of my head or whatever, that they're called CAT scans. So it must be cancer. So I was like psyching myself up that I was gonna have cancer. So like I went into the hospital and I'm like, this is it, Victoria, you've got cancer, you're toast. Because like I thought if you have like cancer like anywhere around by your brain, you're toast. So I was like all set up to like get the news after I woke up that like I was gonna die, right? And so when they wheel me back into the room, they like go and get my mom, and my mom comes, and I'm like still like halfway under anesthesia, and I feel like I weigh like 6,000 pounds, and my mom comes in crying, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna die, this is it, I'm gonna die, I know it. My mom starts crying, and she said that all the doctor said was that he thought that I had Wagner's, and that he'd only seen 2 cases in the 20 years that he'd been practicing, and that it's really, really rare, and that he was gonna wait to see what happened from the biopsy and send me to specialists if is what happened, and that they put a sponge with like steroids in my nose to like make the inflammation go down so that I could like maybe breathe out of this side of my nose. Because for 4 months I was breathing out of this side of my nose or my mouth, so I had to like, you know, like kind of sit in class with my hand like this so that like nobody could see that I was trying to like breathe really really desperately. So after that, they got the results back and they called me into the office, which made me feel really nervous. So it was a week later, and he was like, it's just what I expected. You have Wagner's, and here's some specialists. And then that was like the last time I ever saw that ENT, because I guess I'm beyond his capabilities now. So I have 2 specialists now, and I'm gonna forget what they're called. One is a rhinologist, because people who have my sort of disease in their nose can have issues with their cartilage and having them damaged, so he just makes sure that my nose is pretty and doesn't fall off. Well, it's not gonna fall off, but you know what I mean. And then I have a, oh god, what is it called? She's a specialist. Can't remember what she's called. I'll put it in big letters across the screen because I'll look it up. And she basically like keeps track of like my blood work and what medication I'm supposed to be on and things like that. And for the longest time I had like more drugs in me than like a rock band. I was like on a lot of heavy medication. And I'm still on some heavy medication, but they're starting to wean me off of some of the more horrible ones. So, I mean, that's good. So I don't think I have anything else to say about that story except for, yeah, I have a really rare disease and they don't know how I got it. It's not environmental, it's not genetic, I can't pass it on to my kids. I kind of just won the disease lottery, basically, which is really weird because most people who get this are older and I'm 20, and so I'm about like 20 years early. But I did meet a girl on Twitter who is in her 20s and she's got Wagner's, but she's got it different. So you can get Wagner's in your nose and like your sinuses where I have it, or you can get Wagner's in your lungs or your kidneys, and she's got it in her lung, which is way worse than my case. My case is just in my nose, and because my mother is so overprotective of me because I'm her only daughter and her only child, she made sure that I went to the doctor like every week until they found out what was wrong with me. So they caught my case really, really early, and I'm really thankful that I have a mom like that. I mean, some people would probably be embarrassed, but if my mom wasn't overprotective like that, I'd be dead by now, and I would have died in a really, really horrible way. So I thank God or the universe or whatever for my mom every day, because I wouldn't be here without her. Anyway, basically, from what I've read, the disease is like my immune system is so strong or like aggressive that it attacks my own body and sees parts of my vessels as a foreign object that needs to be attacked. So it causes blood vessels to swell and inflate. So that's what happened with my nose, is that the blood vessels in it like expanded, and that's why my nose swelled up, and I had a really big nose for a while. It was really bad. If any of you came to my 20th birthday party, you remember how bad my nose looked. So it's treatable. I mean, if this was like the 1970s, then this would be a death sentence, but thank God they have lots of medications that they use to treat it now. But those medications cause a lot of side effects. So getting to why I haven't made videos is I was on, or I'm still on, but I'm getting weaned off. I'm on half of a tablet now, but I was on a drug called prednisone, which is a steroid. And part of the symptoms of being on prednisone is that prednisone gives you like moon face and makes you gain weight, although I haven't really gained much weight from, you know, taking the pills, but I did have moon face really, really bad, which makes you look like you weigh like 40 pounds more than you actually weigh because your face is just like a giant, it's a moon. That's why it's called moon face. So I was really, this is really embarrassing, I was really, really self-conscious, and I didn't want to go up and make videos when I was feeling like I wasn't, like I didn't belong in my own body. It's really weird to be on a drug like prednisone or to be on like chemotherapy, because some people who have Wagner's, who have like cases in their lungs or their kidneys, have to go on chemotherapy, and they like lose all their hair, and then they have to be on the prednisone and they get moon face. But luckily my case isn't that bad, so I don't have to go on chemotherapy unless it spreads, which since I'm on all this medication it shouldn't spread, so don't freak out. But so I was really self-conscious for a long time, and I would look in the mirror and I felt like I was in someone else's body. Like I didn't know who was looking back at me, and I just felt really hideous. I felt like Shrek, and I know it's really, really immature, but that's just how I felt, and I don't know how to explain it. I guess it's because I grew up in a society where like beauty is everything and I'm totally brainwashed or whatever, but I felt really horrible about myself. And if you look back on one of my videos about the perfume review that I did, I have moon face in that, and I saw it when I edited it, and I was like, I can't do any more videos anymore because I look so horrible. And I didn't want you guys to remember me that way. I wanted you guys to remember me the way that I really am. And now my face is finally starting to go down, but it was big for a while. But now, since they're weaning me off of the prednisone, it doesn't look that bad anymore. And let's see, I'm on methotrexate, so that's going to replace the prednisone, which methotrexate isn't that bad. It's a cancer drug, but I mean it's not as bad as the prednisone, so that should be good. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about the drugs except for I don't enjoy taking them, but I learned how to swallow pills now, so I guess that's like the silver lining to all this. And I really didn't want to make a video and like tell my friends and family this way, but honestly, it's easier than like sitting you guys all down one by one and like blurting all this stuff out at you at once. So I really apologize for like posting it on Facebook and like telling you guys that way. But honestly, I don't know other way to tell you, because since I was feeling self-conscious, I became like really antisocial, and I started like hiding at home. So I would just go to school and just go home, just go to school and just go home. And like that was my whole life. Like I didn't want to go and hang out with friends. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want anybody to see me. I didn't want anybody to take pictures of me. I didn't want anybody to know that I existed, and you know, unless it was really vitally important. So I haven't really been talking to you guys, and it's not because I don't love you and because I don't care about you and because I don't want to be friends with you. It's because I've just been really shallow and self-conscious, and I didn't want to socialize with people. So please don't feel like it has anything to do with you. It's all me. I know that's a cliche, but it is. It's me, not you. So what I want to do now is I want to get back to making videos, because I realized that even if, you know, something bad happens, like my disease spreads and something, you know, my health goes down badly, it's gonna happen whether or not I'm sitting in my room hiding, crying about it, or whether I'm out living my life and doing things that I enjoy. So honestly, I would rather be out doing things that I enjoy and enjoying my life than hiding in my room waiting for the axe to drop. So, although from what my doctors say, I have a really light case, so it shouldn't be a problem, and we're working on getting it to go into remission, and once it goes into remission, I mean, I could be like symptom-free for, you know, 20 years or whatever. There are people that only have like one flare-up and then they have no symptoms for a long time, and then they have like one flare-up when they're like old or something like that. So I think I'm gonna be okay, but I am gonna have to be aware of my body and how like things are, and I'm gonna have to be on drugs for a while. Like even when I go into remission, I'm gonna have to be on drugs for like 2 more years after that. So I'm gonna be pretty like tired and, you know, just have like some side effects. But I don't really have a lot of heavy side effects except for being really tired all the time and having like no strength whatsoever. I feel like an 80-year-old like lady, because I cannot go up a flight of stairs now without going, wow, that was like a lot of stairs. But before I got on the medication, like even when I was sick, I could just, you know, go up a flight of stairs and like not even care. But the medicine makes you like so tired and weak that you kind of like have to take things slow. So everyone, please have patience with me if you know me in real life. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask me. And if you're finding this video because you have Wagner's too and you don't know what to do about it and you're scared and you're worried, please write me. I mean, all you gotta do is tell me, and I'm not going to ignore you, because I know what it's like to not have anybody who understands. And like, you can tell people all about it, but they're never going to understand. And even though some people have different cases of Wagner's and have it in different places, you know, we understand what it's like to be one of the rare people that have it, and, you know, not being able to find a lot of information on it because it's so rare that people don't study it. And if you're finding this because you just got diagnosed, or you know someone who just got diagnosed and you know they're having a hard time, you know, you can talk to me if you want to, because if anything, I'd love to lend some support to someone else who has, you know, this disease, because it's something that you're going to have your whole life. It's something I'm going to have my whole life. And there aren't that many of us. We're kind of like unicorns or leprechauns or fairies or something, you know, there's not that many of us left. So please feel free to, you know, write me, and I'm going to answer you back, I promise. You know, I mean, that's the least I can do. I met one person on Twitter who has it, and even though our cases are different, I think that we find comfort in each other, which I think is a good thing, because you can feel really, really alone when you find out that you have a rare disease that nobody bothers to study because it's so rare. So, anyway, that was my story, and if you have any more questions, just ask, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my abilities. This is kind of new for me. I mean, I've had it for, I guess I had symptoms in January, and I didn't find out until like April what it was, so I guess I've kind of had like 4 or 5-ish months to like really think about this, but you know, I'm still doing research and still trying to figure things out myself, so I'm not like, you know, a pro. I'm not going to know everything, but I'll do my best, you know, to try and answer questions for anyone and explain things, because I realized that this video is like really kind of me just like blurting a lot of information at you fastly, but that's because I didn't want it to be like a 40-minute video and to bore you guys to tears. So yeah, this is basically me telling you why I've been gone for so long and why I've been hiding, and I hope you guys can forgive me for that, but I wasn't in the right mindset to do videos or to like go out and hang out with people. I was just kind of trying to figure things out and, you know, kind of do my own mental therapy and just sort of deal with this, and understanding that I'm gonna have to deal with it for my entire life. So anyway, thank you guys for listening to this. If you've gotten all the way to the end, you totally rock, and I hope I didn't bore you to death. And so yeah, I'm gonna go now and stop talking because I'm boring myself, honestly, terribly. So bye everyone.